Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to insert a frame inside an image in Photoshop, and we'll take the image from this to that. Okay, so let's get started. What we're going to do is we're going to go up to Layer, New, and select New Layer. We're going to rename it and call it Frame. Then we're going to go up to Filter, Render, Picture Frame. The default I'm going to leave as it is. 36 line box is the type of frame, and there's plenty of different ones in there if you want to have a play around, but I prefer for this technique to keep it as a normal line. Then we go down to the colour, leave the colour as it is because I'm going to be changing that later and I'll show you how to do that. The margin, if you want to pull the slider across, that'll make the margin bigger, but the problem is we don't know how big the box is going to be, so we'll take it back to the default, which was 13. The size is also the size of the line, and what happens is if you take the slider up, it looks like a conventional picture frame, but again I'm going to leave that on 7 because I'm looking for that thin line. These selections here are greyed out, so you can't choose those, so we don't need to worry about those. I think that depends on what type of picture frame you choose. So we'll say OK to that. So now we've got our box around our image. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the frame layer is active. We're going to go up to Edit, Free Transform, and the little square boxes around the frame, if you just click and hold, you can alter the size of the frame. Also, if you click outside the box, there's a little two-sided arrow which allows you to rotate the box if you so wanted, but that's not what I'm looking for, so I'm going to leave it as it was. So now we'll resize and position the box. So if you go inside the box, there's a black arrow which allows you to move that box around. So we'll just move it in a bit more. So I want a few of the petals inside. Maybe around there. And also if you make sure that your box is sort of like equal all the way around your image. Okay, so we'll say OK to that. Right, then what we're going to do is, next, we're going to go down to the layer palette. And there's a selection here that looks like a black spot in a white box. That is your layer mask. So if you click that, okay, now over here you've got your foreground and your background colour, so you can actually switch between foreground and background, but what we need to do is we need to make sure black is our foreground colour, and the way to check that is just click on it and there it says foreground colour, so we click OK. Now select the brush tool, and here you can select the size of your brush, which I've got at 70, which if you just look on your image, that's about the size. That's about the size we need. I've taken the hardness down to about 70%, so we haven't got a really hard line. Okay, so we've got black as our foreground colour. Now the thing is with a mask, if you select black, it'll paint your layer out. If you select white, it'll paint it back in. Right, so I'm going to zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, still got black selected. Make sure your brush tool is selected now, otherwise it won't do what you want it to do. So what we're going to do now is just paint some of this out. Now I'm doing it quite quickly, so you'll obviously make a better job than me. So we'll paint all that out, I think. And then I'll come down here. I'll paint that bit out there. Okay. I think I'll paint this one out. Right. Now what you can do is, if you think you've made a mistake or you don't want as many petals out or whatever, you can actually click back and make white your foreground colour. And if you look there, foreground colour. Say OK. Now I'll need to paint some little bits. Oh, that's too much. I was going to paint some little bits back in, but I'll show you if you use the white, then it paints it all back in for you. Okay. So I'm going to switch back to black. Black's the foreground colour. Say OK. And paint it back out again. I mean, I'm doing this rather quickly, so you'll obviously make a better job of it than me. So I'll take that bit out. In fact, I might take that out as well. So there we go. That looks as though the flower's bursting out of the frame. So then I think what we'll do is we'll change the colour of the frame, because I'm not very keen on a yellow frame with a pink flower. So what I'm going to do is select the background layer, and I'm going to use the colour picker. Okay. Now you can choose whatever colour you like. That one or that one. If you hold your mouse down, you can see what colour it's going to choose. So I might choose that one, I think. Because you don't want it to blend too much in with the flower as well. You want it to stand out a bit. You could use a totally different colour as well. Okay, so I think we'll go with that. Select your frame layer, make sure that's active. And then you come down to the bottom of the layer panel, and there's something that looks like a half moon. So we're going to click on that and go up to solid colour and select it. Now everything's gone pink, but there's no need to panic. So we're going to say OK to that anyway. Now what we're going to do is we're going to right click on the colour fill layer and select this scrolling box, and in there it says create clipping mask. So you click that, and there you go. You've got your frame and your flower bursting out. It all depends on how many petals you want to burst out of the frame. Okay. Now if you want to change the colour, just go back in your history tool and start it all over again. Okay. Now what we'll do is also something else that sometimes I do like to do. I'll scroll out a bit. I'm going to create an outline. Now it doesn't matter whether you do it on your Photoshop file or your JPEG file. So I'm going to create an outline. So now I'm going to go to the background layer and I'm going to unlock it. So you see that little symbol there? Unlock it and it becomes a layer. Then we'll go up to edit, stroke, and here's where you choose the width of your line. I normally use 3 pixels. I also like to use the same colour as I've used for the frame, but you can choose a different colour. Make sure you've got inside selected, and all the rest you can leave as it is and just say OK. If you want a thicker line, I do prefer a thin line, more or less the same as the frame inside. Go back one, go back up to edit, go to stroke, put 10 pixels in, and there you have it. But you can also choose a thicker line with your frame as well. It's just a matter of playing around with it and see what you like. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please press the like button. If you want to see more, then subscribe and you'll get the latest videos coming from me, and there will be a lot more. So until I see you in the next video, take care.